Hi everyone. Today is Friday, March 18th, 2022. I'm Crystal Dawn Hill, and I'm here to share something with you that I've told a lot of people on a one-on-one basis, but I've never talked about this on a video before. I have written posts about it a little bit here and there as it fit with the conversation, but I'm going to share it in an entirely um, raw and authentic way and more completely than I ever have before. As I'm sure you can see, I'm a little bit emotional, and rightly so. um, I've been in a strange energy lately, and I think it's because I haven't been eating just right because I had food poisoning and I'm still recovering, and my digestive system will only tolerate very limited foods. So I'm feeling a little frustrated because I can't eat like I normally do, um, and with a lot of other things going on and the energy and everything, it's been a challenge for me lately. And of course, this is going to be primarily about my twin journey. And um, I don't normally talk about the personal side of my connection with my divine masculine. I only usually just talk about my experiences with the energy and my spiritual experiences. But I've really been feeling more of like a human emotional connection with him lately. And because there's no communication between us right now, I'm feeling a little bit uh, sad and lonely and frustrated because it, even though I'm surrendered, I'm still feeling the emotions of um, the current situation. So, because my faith has been so strong and my trust in the connection and believing in it so powerfully, and there's nothing happening, then I'm starting to feel very, very frustrated. And normally, when I get like that, I get a very powerful reminder to not stop believing in this connection. And more importantly, to not stop believing and trusting and having faith in God. And so I got that reminder today, and that's why I'm so emotional. So many people that I've connected with in this twin flame community, if we've spoken on a one-on-one basis, or if they ever read my posts um, in the groups back in like 2014, 15, in that era, um, they may remember that I always talked about um, how Amy Grant and Vince Gill have been an inspiration to me um, ever since they first got together. And I've only told a handful of people this, but I always felt like they would be together even when they were still married to their respective spouses. And I'd like to share that story with you. Now, I just want to say up front that this is my personal experience, and everything that I say in regard to them will be um, from my own personal feelings and perspective, and with the utmost love and respect for them and the journey that they chose to take together. Not only do I have the utmost respect for them, but also immense love and gratitude that they chose each other. And I had no doubt in my mind that they would, um, because I knew how powerful their love was. And that's where I want to start the story about it. So it was in the mid 1990s, and I was at my mom's, and we were watching a Christmas program. And Vince and Amy were still married to their respective first spouses, but they were performing together. And when they were singing, they were facing each other. And I literally saw a beam of light connecting them. And I was like, oh my gosh, Mom, did you see that? And she's like, see what? And I said, there was a beam of light between them, connecting them at their foreheads. Did you see that? And she's like, I don't know what you're talking about. And after some probing, I really figured out that she truly did not see the light that I saw. And I sat there the rest of the program. Well, I was probably watching to see if I could see that again, but I don't think they performed that much together for the rest of the program. And if they did, there were other people on stage with them, and they were separated by the other people. But for the rest of that evening, I sat very quietly and introspectively pondering what I had experienced. And I knew that I must have a gift because how could I have seen something like that and another person didn't see it unless God had selected me to see that? I knew it wasn't the stage lighting. I knew it wasn't, like a glare or anything like that. I saw the light between them, period. That is the only time I have ever seen spiritual light with my visible eyes. I can sense it. I can see light emanating from within a person, like so many of us can. But that was the only time I ever saw anything like that. I was single at the time. I was divorced from my first husband, and I had not yet started dating my second husband. I don't think. If I had, our relationship was new and we hadn't gotten engaged or anything yet. So that really stuck with me. And it really, truly made me believe in true love. I never doubted true love. I could see it between other people. But I just thought it was love. I didn't know it was spiritual. I didn't know. I mean, I knew that I could match people, but I just thought that was something all people could do. I thought it was just a thing. I didn't know it was anything special that I had been gifted with. But after this incident, I and my mom didn't have the same experience as I did, then I knew that that God had given me a gift and that I needed to use it for other people. So, I got married to my second husband, and we got married not too long after Amy and Vince got married. But anyway, I probably should back up and tell you what happened after that original incident. So it was about a year after that. Um, my mom always listened to country radio, and I never listened to country. Not on a regular basis, anyway. There were certain people that I liked from the country music field, but I didn't listen to it on my radio or anything. So, about a year after this experience I had, seeing them on stage, I my mom called me one day and she's like, "Guess what? Vince Gill and his wife are getting divorced." And I'm like, "Oh my gosh." And what touched me was that my mom had remembered what happened to me. Oh, and I forgot to mention, after that happened, I told her, I said, they're going to be together. And she's like, well, they're both married. And I'm like, they're going to be together. I just know in my heart that that light was spiritual and that it was connecting them energetically. I don't know if I used the word energetically back then, but essentially that's what I was saying. So she must have remembered that, and she called me to tell me about Vince Gill and his wife getting divorced. So I think I was a little bit excited about that, but of course, Amy and her first husband were still together, and given their circumstances, you know, I didn't know. I knew that she and Vince were meant to be together, and I felt like they would be, but one really can't tell for sure what's going to happen until it actually happens. So, um, I thank my mom for letting me know and everything. And then I think it was about another year from then, she called me again. And she's like, guess what? I'm like, what? And she's like, Amy Grant and her husband are getting divorced. And I'm like, oh my gosh, her and Vince are going to be together. I was so excited. And I was so grateful to her for letting me know. And that, that what I had shared with her had impacted her, because she never really was there for me that much emotionally. And the fact that that stuck with her and that it meant something to her and she wanted to tell me, that was really special. So then, of course, after that, the whole story continues where they got engaged and married and everything. So before I go on with the part about myself, I just want to say that they've always been an inspiration to me, and they've always, every time I'm feeling low or hopeless or sad or anything, it seems like God always puts something about them in my path to uplift me. And so that's what happened today, and I'll get to that part of it in a little bit. So I was so excited about this that I was telling people at work, and people were kind of jokingly asking me to, help them find their right one and matchmaking and everything. And I would try to help if I could, if they were serious. I did try to play matchmaker with one particular couple one time, and it backfired. And I knew that I had a gift, and I knew that I was meant to use the gift, but when it backfired that time, it taught me to start doing it God's way instead of my way. And, trying to coerce the people or manipulate or whatever. I learned to follow God's guidance and bringing them, helping, not bringing them together, but helping them in whatever way I could without trying to um, impose my personal wishes on the people. So, at work, I did help facilitate a couple of relationships, both of which are still very successful. The couple was very happy and have children and everything. So I'm really happy about that, that God used me like that. But I started to be concerned because I was like, well, what about me? I did get married a second time after all of this happened, and we were married for a short time. And I actually had my first spiritual awakening when I was married to him, and that prompted me to um, divorce him and set out on my own. But this whole thing about this experience that I had, it just kept, I don't like to use the word haunting because it wasn't a negative thing, but I don't know what other word to use to describe it. So it just kept showing up for me, in my heart and as a reminder um, that this happened. And so I started feeling frustrated after a while and maybe even a little bit resentful because I was like, where's mine? Where's my person? Why can't I find him? Why haven't I encountered him yet? Or maybe I have and just didn't recognize him or whatever. But I knew down deep in my heart that I was meant to be with someone very special and that it would happen in this lifetime. And I even told a lady that I was friends with who was also very spiritual that this is my last lifetime. And she's like, how do you know that? You don't know. And I'm like, I don't know. I just know. Well, in hindsight, I know how I knew, but that's for a whole different topic and video. So that's how I spent the next decade or two um, wondering about that and searching for him and thinking that I had found him in different soulmates who carried a lot of my divine masculine essence. And I would encounter people that I would become friends with who were also on the journey. And I thought, well, this person's going to help me find him, or she's going to give me the insight that I need to be able to find him for myself or whatever. And it just kept going on and on like this ever since my divorce in 2002 from my second husband. It's just kept going on like this. And so I won't go into details because that'll be in my journey video series. Um, but just to share a little bit in regard to this discussion that I'm sharing today, I'll just say that I did go through a lot over the past few years, and among the different crises that I went through, one was moving a long way from home um, to be closer to someone that I thought was my divine partner. And that turned out to be my dark night and my fast tracking onto the twin flame path. And I, even after I didn't hear from him for a long time, I did still believe that he was my twin. But I knew that we weren't meant to be together. I thought that that was just part of my life journey and that was over, and then I would just, end up in a regular, traditional, conventional relationship with someone down the road. So after I moved back home to my hometown and went through my blindness crisis and everything, I finally got settled in the apartment I'm living in now. And shortly after I moved here, I was just feeling very much at peace. I wasn't looking for anyone. I wasn't feeling empty. I felt just totally at peace, and like I had me and myself and God, and that was all that I needed. And I just felt like I would just, that would be my life for the rest of my life. Just being blind and being in this little tiny apartment on my own and just kind of riding out the rest of my life like that. So, about 6 weeks later, after I had reached that point of total peace, I was looking at Facebook one day and I felt very strongly guided to look at My People You May Know. And I was like, but I'm deleting friends. I don't want any more friends. And this was really the first time that I had felt a strong urgency from my spirit guide. And I was like, okay. So my guide wasn't letting up. So I went ahead and scrolled through through My People You May Know. And the fourth person down was the the face of someone that I had dreamed about 20 years before when I was still married to my second husband. Now, the reason I hesitated when I said the face of was because in my dream, I couldn't see his face. But when I saw his face, I still recognized him. And I was in total and utter shock that he was real, that he was really a person, that he was really on this earth at the same time as I was. And then I actually had the opportunity to reach out and say hello to him. And I'm going to tell that whole story during my journey video series, but I'm going to continue about my story about my gift of matching people, because that's primarily what this video is about. So, after I reflected on this and he and I communicated and we got acquainted with each other and everything, I realized that what I thought about my life, about my future, well, I was dead wrong. That it wasn't going to be calm and everyday, mundane, just riding life out. It was, I had just been handed a whole new life, a whole new reality. And one of the first things that I thought about was that experience that I had had when I saw Amy and Vince performing on his Christmas program. And how I had so many times felt resentful, wondering where my person was. And the reason I'm getting teary-eyed again right now is because of something that I'm thinking about that I can't really share right now, but it's beautiful and sad at the same time. And it has to do with how I knew in the first place that I was destined for this journey to find my true love. And all of the years that I wondered where he was and when I would meet him or if I would meet him, and how I even knew that I was cut out for this. Like, all of that was a mystery. I've just been like, it was so ironic because even though I only lost my vision at age 50, I had been going through my whole life with blinders on. And shortly after I lost my vision is when I met him. And that's when I could see things the way they truly were. And right now, I know that the Divine Masculine Collective is going through a lot of what the Divine Feminine Collective went through a few years ago. I know that from hearing various readers saying it. What I know and can say from a personal perspective is that I know that my Divine Masculine is going through what I went through 3 years ago. And we've been very much in alignment with the collective, both individually and our connection. So the way that I knew that he was out there, even before I had the dream about him, I could feel him, I could sense him, and I knew that he was out there. And the way that I knew that, looking back, is absolutely phenomenal. And I pray that one day I'll be able to share that. But even still today, I'm so inspired by Amy and Vince and their story and everything that they went through to be together, and how they did it with such a high level of integrity and respect for their previous spouses and for their families and for their fans. And I'm just so blown away that when I look back on all of that, it's like God has kept showing me different things about them in order to remind me that this path is real and that it is possible. And I honestly don't think that he would work so hard to keep reminding me if he didn't want me to believe that I was meant to have this as well. So that brings me up to where I am today. So as I said earlier, I've been kind of feeling down because I haven't been able to eat right, and um, different things going on that have been kind of challenging for me, and with the collective energy and everything. And today I was especially frustrated over a particular situation it's not important, but it's a 3D thing, and it's just one of those things. It's just an inconvenience, really. But I got home from shopping, and I got my groceries put away and had dinner and everything. And I look at YouTube, and the first thing that comes up is an interview. Well, it's a whole spotlight of Amy and Vince and their individual interviews, and also clips of them together, talking with the interviewer and everything. And I shared that on my Facebook page after I watched it. And it was so many things that they said in the interview, and that the person who presented the report, and showcase was the word I was looking for, not spotlight. They were showcased on the whole hour. And there was just so many different things that they said that just inspire me so much. And I just when I first heard about Amy Grant when I was in my teens and early 20s, I felt connected with her then, and I felt like a sisterhood with her. And I always loved her music, and always thought it would be so cool to, see her in concert and everything. Which I wasn't a big concert goer, so um, I only went if I had people that wanted to go with me. I didn't want to do that kind of thing by myself. So I'm just so emotional today because when I saw this interview and saw how they were speaking of each other and how much in love they are, and knowing in my heart of hearts that God put that interview in front of me as another reminder to not give up and to not lose faith or hope. It's heart wrenching because I'm in my middle ages. Is that how I say it? I'm middle aged, I guess is the way I should say it. I'm middle aged, and I'm just in that stage of my life, I guess, where my clock is ticking, and you know, I know everything that I know everything that I'm destined to have, and I know that my beloved divine masculine is a part of that, and I know how beautiful things could be if we were ever given an opportunity um, to know each other and to spend time together. And I know that I can't stop believing. I know that I have to keep hope and faith. And I am so very grateful for how God has used two strangers to keep showing up in my life as a reminder of what is possible for all of us. But at the same time, it's like I think about so many other times that I wished and I hoped and I waited and I was so patient and long suffering that I'm just tired, and I'm I know everything that we're missing out on. I've envisioned it, I've felt it, and even one thing that um, I think it's either a line from her song or something that the interviewer quoted her Amy as saying was that like when you feel it in your bones. I'm pretty sure it's a song lyric, and I'm gonna look that song up, and if I find it, I will put it on my Facebook page and write a comment saying what it is and why I'm sharing it. But if you've sat and listened to this whole thing, then I appreciate it so much. And I would love to hear any of your stories like that you would like to share. And I do want to say one thing before I close. So many people say no one can tell you who your twin is. I think that a more accurate way to say that is no one should tell you who your twin is, because there are people who have the gift of recognizing spiritual connections between people, and their particular story is only one example of how I've experienced that my gift is real. And so yes, there are people with the ability, even though it's not very appropriate or tactful to blurt it out. If one is given that gift, they're meant to use it in a way that would be pleasing to God. And one final thing that I would like to say is, if my divine masculine would ever happen to see this, or if anyone happens to see it who knows who he is and knows our story, I just want to say that I totally and 100% understand where he is in his journey. I respect his choice. I respect his feelings. And I know how hard it is to be faced with the decision, just like the decision that Amy and Vince were faced with when they first saw each other and fell in love. And I'm not making any presumptions in regards to them. I'm only going by what was shared on their interview, and that has come out of their mouths during interview. So I'm not making any presumptions about them. I'm only going by what they've stated as factual. So I do 100% believe in our connection. I 100% have faith and trust. It's just that today my human self is kind of getting in the way of all of that, and it's making me sad. But if anybody knows me very well, they'll know that the way I'm speaking and the way I'm sharing is very different than my typical character. And that's because when I'm speaking of my beloved, I am different. I'm the person that I've always wanted to be. That's how profound this love is. That's how profound this connection is, that it brings out your deepest and truest and most authentic self that others don't always offer you the opportunity to bring forth. And so I'm grateful to him for that, and for all of the amazing magical experiences, and more than anything else, just for being the beautiful conduit to bring forth through himself God's love for me, and for me to be able to experience that love in a very tangible and palpable way. I wish for every single person in this world to find such a sweet and pure and beautiful love as this. Call it whatever you want: twin flame, spiritual partner, divine partner, sacred union, whatever name we put on it. It all boils down to the pureness and the sweetness and the sacredness of God's truth that he makes manifest through the two people who are truly in love with each other. I wish this for every single person on this earth. And I'm doing what I believe is my part in contributing to that cause for my friends, my loved ones, for everyone in the spiritual community and twin flame communities that I come in contact with, for myself, and for my beloved. Wishing you all a great day. I wish you all the very best along your life journey, and have a wonderful evening.